wondering where you are.
Damn straight. Well, hello, and welcome to this week's virtual studio party. It's a windy day out there, so I'm glad I'm inside trying to make art. I'm going to see if I can make a live Facebook Live invitation. I may not be able to figure it out in time, but you never know. No, doesn't look like I can. Hello. I did manage an Instagram live invitation to people to come and to this week's virtual studio party. Just going to get my laptop set up. Please say hi in the comments if you're able to, in the chat. And let us know. Kal, of course, my trusty wingman over there, he's going to be monitoring the chat. And please let us know where you are, how you're doing, and if you brought something to work with or play with, some project or some materials, if you're going to doodle, or if you're just going to chill out and hang out. Okay. I think this light might be in the way, dear. Hi, Valerie. Pardon me while I just get this set up better for... And Annie, hello. So glad you could make it. Oh, my head's cut off now.
You just
tilt it back a little bit. There, that's a good balance, I think. It's all right for a little bit to be cut off. Just hoping to get inspired. You have some homework to do, right? Well, this is a good opportunity.
Whose might that be, Annie?
One of the problems with it being a windy day is we have two huge barberry shrubs, which have small purple leaves and little cluster flowers that are bright yellow, and the branches get covered in all these, almost as though they're covered in snow, except it's yellow. And the wind is blowing all the petals off. So now the ground is covered in this gorgeous yellow with these tiny little petals. But the barberries were so beautiful yesterday, and now they are a fraction of the glory that they were. So I have been...
Kay has joined us.
Hi, Kay. Nice to see you. Oh, I guess I can turn that fan off now. I'm going to be working in my little book again today, but I do want to say hi to people before I dig in.
Annie says, must go out and throw the petals into the air like confetti. That's a great idea. That sounds suitably fun.
Love that. Yeah. They're so beautiful. I mean, just pure color too, right?
Annie's been doing some drawings in her garden of beautiful plantings and beautiful drawings of them. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have a lot of beautiful plantings. What's in our garden that's doing well is stuff that can do well in spite of us, rather than because of us.
Tinley just joined us.
Hi, Tinley. So glad you could make it. And are you going to be collaging today, Tinley? I hope you checked out that freaky call for artists, or the call for freaky art, or whatever you want to call it, that I tagged you on. I noticed that you saw it, but it sounded intriguingly right up your alley.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
As far as
All
collaging,
right. Yeah. Oh, good. Just seems so perfect for you.
Val is running 10 kilometers every other day. That's impressive,
What?
Val.
Holy crap.
You are amazing.
Wow. That's amazing, Val. So impressed. You can see I'm built for speed. Even when I was young and slim, I wasn't built for speed. Well, except in that's wrong. You're running kilometers, you're built for stamina. I was built for sprints. I was built for short bursts. Powerlifting, discus, shot put, all of that. Yeah. And swimming. I used to do a lot. And cycling. Yeah. Cycling I did a lot. But I used to like really powering through cycling. Yeah. Now I just cycle on the trainer downstairs.
You are a grinder, not a spinner. You mash big gears, right?
Yes. I used to mash big gears. I used to intentionally get into a really high gear on the downhill and take the high gear on the uphill. Just get enough momentum on the downhill that I could really power through, because I think I did it because it made the uphills pass more quickly.
Mia says, hi, everyone. Feeling sick for over a week now. Not sure how long I will last. Need a serious inspiration and friendly voices.
Aw. Well, welcome. Just stay as long as it feels okay to stay. And I'm glad you were able to come. And however long you can stay is just fine. Yeah,
just get your chicken soup, your cup of chicken soup. And
exactly.
Get a blankie on and just hang out with Kim.
Yeah. Yeah. So try to keep things friendly and calm here. So I will show you.
Yeah, what have you got? You've been doing a lot in this one.
Been up to. I'm thinking that I put this collaged circle on here after last week's virtual studio party. This is the page showing through, so I'd masked that off in order to paint around here. And I already had this ground, but the mask itself I ended up using as a collaged item. So that was kind of fun. And I finished this spread just the other day, which some of you may have seen on social media. And it's metallic inks. And this had started with a wash of India ink. And then I used metallic gel pens and white. Did I use white? Yeah, white and red paint pens as well on there. So that spread is done. Woo! And so I've prepped a couple more spreads. In fact, yesterday during the altered book class, I did this surface here. And then today, earlier, I prepped this page. It has metallic silver on it. It's an acrylic paint. Oh, it looks like someone else is here. Elaine!
She says, my two favorite artists. Great to see, hear you both. Looking forward to being inspired by you.
Aw, thanks, Elaine.
Annie says, love that blue.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting because it's a mixture. Underneath it, there's a teal green, and on top of it, there's a phthalo blue glaze. And of course, it's highly textured as well. I don't know if I can convey how textured it is, but those are actual texture, tactile textures. So yeah, it's kind of fun, and I think opposite the silver that will be interesting. Now I actually have a plan. I wanted to do. Oh, it's glaring out like mad. This spread I've prepped with gesso, but I wasn't thrilled with how this admittedly very old tube of silver acrylic paint was spreading. And so Cal has very nicely let me use his pretty large Liquitex paint marker, and I can hardly believe my luck, actually. Isn't there just something totally irresistible about a new tool? So give it a good shake. And see how it does. I'll start on one page, and if it doesn't seem to be working out well, I'll change my plan. Such as my plan exists. I do have something in mind, but now I need a page protector.
Mia says, beautiful. Thank you for last week book flip through. I missed the last session. Must watch as soon as my body will start behaving better. And then she asks, is the Liquitex paint acrylic?
Yes, it is acrylic. So they have metallics. Ooh, wow. When I pumped the pen, it really produced a lot of paint. It's more, maybe I probably need to add some flow aid to the, which reduces the viscosity, but also increases the flow in more ways than one.
Mira just joined us.
Hi, Mira. Glad you could make it.
Long time no see.
Yeah.
How many days in a row is this, Mira? I think it's at least 3, right?
Yeah. Always a pleasure. So I'm working in the little book that I was working in on Friday, Mira. And I'm preparing a page. Well, I guess it'll be interesting to see how long it takes for this to dry. What's your experience, Cal?
It's been a long time since I used those paint markers, so a little longer than I think I would have hoped.
Right. Well, I have my fan, so that's my secret weapon.
I'm your greatest fan, Kim.
Oh man, this morning, guys,
Yeah.
He got his exercise. He must have had a decent night's sleep, and the puns, I'll tell you.
Sorry.
They've been coming fast and furious. That's why it's nice to socialize with friends sometimes. Because
get a little break.
Yeah. Because we have some friends who love puns. And that's really nice for Cal and for me. Okay, I actually think it's going to dry pretty well, but I'll put the fan on it anyway. Oh, I'm sorry, dear. Okay. So there's my silver coating. Maybe someday if I'll take on a little book and do actual metal foiling in it. But today's not that day. I figure this is a good opportunity to work my way through some of my art supplies. The fact that I'm not going out and buying much new stuff. Anybody else find that they're working their way through some of their backlog of supplies? I have quite because I ended up buying, not being able, this is sad, but at certain points, not being able to find where I had stashed my tubes of Liquitex base. So I ended up purchasing probably 3 times the quantity I would otherwise have had from multiple purchases. And so I'm thinking, even though it's not nominally not pro quality, it's enough to get me going with grounds and so on, that I thought I'd get back into some painting this summer. But then I have a lot of projects, so we'll see. In fact, I just had an idea yesterday for repurposing my plexiglass houses from 2012 into sculpture that relates to my heart-based work. I'll have to buy a couple more 4 times actual size working heart model, or heart models, medical models. But yeah, it ties into that, but it also ties into our experience of isolation and staying home. They're shaped like houses, right? So anyway, and it connects up to an idea I'd had years ago about using a heart inside one of those homes, because home is where the heart is, was what I was thinking of then. And anyway, so that's brewing. But I'll have to practice drilling through plexiglass and testing materials that I have in mind, to see if I can get my idea to work the way I've imagined it. Hey, that's good.
Okay.
Well, I like that pen.
Well,
I like that pen.
had you primed that page at all? Like
Gesso.
Okay, so it wasn't soaking in next.
Yeah, no, because it's got the gesso there. So
it's got a nice little surface, like
yeah,
slightly irregular is nice, right?
Yeah, it's gently irregular in a pleasant way.
Nice.
But it's distinctly metallic, which I don't know how well that part is coming across on the camera, but that's a start. Okay. So because that went well, I actually want to put silver on this side too. Although, just think about this for a minute. If I were on radio, this silence would just be beyond the pale. But at least you can see that I'm thinking. I don't know if you can hear Cal's doing a ticking tick-tock clock sound. Like I'm on Jeopardy or something. Can you imagine if any of you who are artists of all of our studio time was like that, with this tick-tock, tick-tock?
Oh my God. I would have committed suicide long ago.
Oh my God.
Elaine says, that sounds perfect, Kim.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to, I guess that, it's like I've been processing the experience for the past, this is the 12th virtual studio party, by the way, since lockdown happened. And which is amazing, isn't it? The first week I had 2 of them. So it's slightly ahead of the game there. But yeah, there's been a lot to process. Plus, we've been generating all these new things at the same time. And so it slows down the processing of the bigger event. But yeah, that idea of finally coming, came when it was ready, right? That's the way it happens. So I think I am going to go for the silver on the other side now. Actually, it's way better than the paint. Parts of the paint look good, but the pen's better. So I'm going to have to get me one of my own. I'll add it to my list. I've been keeping a little list of the things I want to get. And pens seem to pens of various kinds seem to figure into that list a fair bit, actually. I do love pens. Oh, I'm not using my page protector. That's the kiss of death. There we go. So last week I asked a question I'm going to ask again because I'm still working on my dancing music playlist. And so if anybody here wants to offer up ideas for my dance, like music that compels you to dance when you hear it, I am all ears.
Mia says, amazing parties and jams, Kim and Cal. I love your energy and appreciate your time.
Aw, thanks, Mia. We really appreciate you coming to these.
Yeah, Mia's one of our stalwarts.
Yeah, and community doesn't happen without the people of the community showing up. So we're co-creating these events. Okay, well, that's pretty dandy. Something that's nice about paint pens for anyone who has maybe like especially a fat one like this, if you have brush control issues, either because you're inexperienced with brushes or because you have hand issues, a nice fat pen like that is nice. I mean, I could have held it like this and still got this surface. So I know that hand strength and hand control is an issue for some people, but it doesn't need to prevent you from making art.
Mia says, how about ABBA's Dancing Queen? You can dance, you can jive, having the time of your life.
Dance, you can dive.
Keep going, Kim.
No, I don't want YouTube to haul me into jail. And I don't want to subject you to it either.
For doing a cover, like you're not playing their music.
In order to perform publicly someone else's song, you are supposed to purchase the rights to do so.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, it's just like publishing someone's visual art.
Right, so every time a band plays a cover by another band, they've got rights?
In theory.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Now,
news to me.
There have been lots of viral YouTube covers of things. In fact, that's how Justin Bieber was discovered, was on YouTube singing somebody's song, and other people that's happened to as well. And that's just the music company, whoever had the rights to it, being benign about it. Because it's actually beneficial to the music industry to have people generating interest in, as long as they give credit and so on, generating interest in the artist, the original artist and or songwriter. Okay. Not quite dry. A little too damp. So my silver spread, I was thinking I would do, because of the metallic inks that are on this one. And somehow I just imagined these lovely silver surfaces. And I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do. I have a setup where one side is more all over and the other side is more of a distinct item, a featured something or other. I have an idea for that part. I'm not sure what beyond the silver I will do on the left page. So we'll see. Your guess is as good as mine at this point. Okay. Now, I need circles. I know some people worry, some people who take art classes and maybe they paint, maybe they do mixed media, they worry about their perceived inability to draw. So I'm someone who can draw. I've definitely devoted quite a lot of years to building my skills. But I will use ways of creating drawings that will feel like cheating to some people. And it's not cheating, it's just appropriate strategies for what my objectives are. And I'm going to need to get a hole punch because I can't find my... Oh, I wish the 2-inch worked, but I guess I'll have to use the 3-inch.
Put the other ones nearby in case you want to.
Thank you. So I'm going to get out my handy dandy monster hole punch that's 3 inches. I do love a hole punch, or a nice punch. I'd like to get some shapes too, but I so used up the cutting edge on my 2-inch punch working on a project for at the Redhead Gallery called the Magic Gumball Machine of Fate. So it's an old vintage gumball machine and artist multiples go inside it, inside these plastic balls. And so I had a project that required punching through, I think I did something like 85 of them in total, or 90. And each of them had 2 circle punches, but they were extra thick paper because they were actually 2 pieces laminated together. So completely fried my punch irredeemably. So I have to get a new one that's 2 inches, which is such a versatile size. But so there's my 3-inch hole. Ooh, that's kind of fun. I think.
That is kind of fun.
Actually, let's flip it over. The things you discover. There's something.
Your eyebrow was matching it perfectly there for a second.
There. Yeah. I wonder how it looks. Of course, I can't see anything now when I take my glasses off.
Better with the glasses, actually. More graphic.
All right.
So I know not everyone's looking at the chat because you're probably working away, but something I mentioned in the chat is worth mentioning out loud, I think. We've been reading bits from several books, or a few books by Austin Kleon. The most notable one is Steal Like an Artist, but he's made a few since. And one of the ideas that he talks about in that is this idea of genius, rather than an individual genius, which is the myth that we all think
Western myth
about
artists,
art and creation.
Yeah.
Rather that most of those geniuses or whatever were actually the product of a scene rather than and benefited from each other and so on. And so he's keener on this, what he calls a scenius.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what trying to do a little bit here with these online jams.
Well, yeah, I mean, a scene requires a community of some kind,
Exactly.
whether it's, not necessarily even a friendly and nurturing community, but there is a community of people making art, talking about art, fighting about art. The abstract expressionist guys were known for hanging out in bars, getting drunk, and punching each other out. So, it's not all warm and fuzzy. But they all benefited from each other.
And there are lots of them. Like, some are better known than others, but there was, is it Emma Lake in northern Saskatchewan?
Yeah, Emma Lake. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to get my white pen working. Boy, I hope my white pen lasts. Looks pretty low. That's one of the things I need to replace is my prized Uniball Signo pen that my niece gave me one year for Christmas. Oh, it's going to annoy me, isn't it? So I wanted precision lines, and this pen...
Mia also suggests Pretty Woman by Roy Orbison.
Oh, right. Yeah. There's a classic. So I'm going to have to use a paint pen, unfortunately.
And Annie suggests Laura Branigan, songs by her.
Oh, yeah? Now that's an artist I don't know, so I'll have to check her out.
Heard the name, but I...
Have you?
Yeah, not set well.
Right. Let's see if I have a finer paint pen.
Annie says, dates me, LOL. I think, sadly, we're even older, Annie, so...
Let's see.
It's all relative.
Yeah. No, this is the smaller one. What am I doing? Here we are. I think I've got myself sorted out here. German underground rave music. Wow.
Oh, that sounds great.
That sounds trippy.
So, Trinley, is it...
Tinley.
Tinley, sorry. I'm trying to remember
right.
Type the R and not say it. Is it like ambient, or is it more aggressive than that?
Yeah, is it heavy? Because I know some German music can be really heavy.
Yeah.
Okay, this so my Uniball would have done fabulously on this. This is way too anemic. At least I think so. Let's double check. Oh, I see. It okay, well, I'm gonna trace it with this one, and then when it dries, I'll put another coat. It is having some effect.
Tinley says more aggressive with lots of bass, and I said that sounds like my cup of tea. I'm asked her for names.
Great. I seem to recall you tweeted about that music recently, didn't you, Tinley? Yeah, which might even have had a link, but I'm not positive. Okay.
Tinley says, I did. Is that in response to something you did? You said?
Yeah, like
Okay.
she posted about the music she's listening to
Oh,
on
okay.
Twitter.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll definitely check that out then.
Yeah, he's not on Twitter, but I'll open up
Yeah.
my Twitter for him to look at. So just So what's interesting is it depends on what angle you look at it, whether you can see the white circle, right?
Yeah, you can see it. Coming across.
So it's better than I feared.
So Annie suggests Guns N' Roses,
Oh, wow.
and Elaine suggests Daft Punk. Which,
Yeah.
I've definitely heard some Daft Punk that I love.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate the suggestions. Because I don't know. I just want to have a monster list. You know, I've got all kinds of things I've identified, and just I'm going to find the link to them. But
Tinley and Elaine know each other. They're happy to find each other here.
Yeah, they do, because they're both science artists.
Right, of course.
Part of the sci-art community. There's a very active sci-art community. Not all of you will know this on Twitter especially, but Facebook and Instagram as well. And for those of you who don't know, sci-art is science-based art, sometimes the marriage of science and art, sometimes collaborations between science and artists. For example, Elaine here works at a lab in Ottawa, does residencies there, which allows her to try out and work with materials and bacteria and all kinds of fascinating things. Tinley and I have some things in common because she works a lot with anatomical art.
Yeah.
But makes extraordinary collages out of them. I mean, just, I don't know, they're like Arcimboldo portraits.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
But done with anatomical elements and other elements, flowers and whatever. Yeah. So it's
actually, I Arcimboldo was exactly what I couldn't put my hand on.
Right.
Yeah. Mira says Dirty Dancing, and Mia says the silver paint is gorgeous, like almost like Silver Leaf.
Yeah. So it's not quite Silver Leaf, but in fact, the paint pen has a beautiful finish because it flows nicely. So it doesn't get the paint. I noticed, and they've probably improved it since. And this is an old tube, so changes may have occurred. But sometimes it gets very transparent, even though I've tried to mix it up. You know, some separation has happened, and so it slips and sticks, and yeah, it's not 100% happy. So I'm just living out my childhood love of spirograph here, but doing it the slow, painful way without the benefit of the spirograph. But the same mathematical principles, I'm sure, just mathematical principles that are unknown to me except in visual terms.
Tinley says, I'm cutting out some heads as we speak. And I said,
that sounds like you.
Put that sentence out of context and watch
Yeah.
people react.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's hilarious. Yeah, bizarre and beautiful all at once.
That's you.
So an annoying thing is happening as I use this stencil. The edge is getting slightly dampened by the paint pen and causing the paper to buckle a little bit, but I will prevail. So Elaine, are you working on anything as we speak. I know you had a big week. Elaine's work has been getting a lot of coverage. And she's got lots of work demands and all kinds of other stuff.
Elaine says earlier, I think, oh no, I had a spirograph. That dates both of us, Kim.
Did you love it as much as I did? I found those designs mesmerizing, and I still think about them.
I think that was my first realization that ballpoints could be anything other than blue, you know?
Yeah, right. Getting the colors for that.
Yeah.
It made me think about years later when I was doing graphic design for direct mail purposes, and we worked with certificate borders a lot, and it used the same. Wow, I really messed that positioning up. Oh well. It's a handmade, low-tech way I'm doing this, and it's just going to turn out the way it turns out, isn't it?
Walking and chewing gum, right?
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah.
Just thinking for a minute whether this will probably turn out wonky, but I'll go for wonky. It's already wonky. I might as well make it wonkier. What the heck?
Elaine says, adored it.
Yeah.
She says, right on, Cal. I think about the colors.
Yeah.
And Mia says, wabi sabi. Love watching you work, Kim.
Aww.
My white pen died again. The hot water revival did not last.
Oh, yeah. But you squeezed just a little bit more out of it, right? That's good. That's good. So
just another reason to put in an order at the art store, right?
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
You and me both.
Get a few toys. Interrupted you. Ask something.
Was I? Well, don't worry about it. I'm going to try this.
Elaine says, working on Mylar with templates and fluid acrylics right now.
Ooh.
Yeah,
that sounds fun.
Yeah. Annie asks, what are your favorite art stores?
Oh, I used to really like Curry's till they stopped stocking anything. Or, would stock something briefly and then it wouldn't be there. And, oh no, we don't carry that anymore. And go in months later and, oh, it's mysteriously back. Anyway, I like Above Ground. And oh man, Articulations is not a place I've only actually shopped in it once because I sort of knew it was there. It's in the Junction area. It's owned by I consider her a young woman who's recently had a baby, and she obviously puts a lot of love and care into the shop and carries some different things. But to be honest, I don't frequent that store, but it's not far from Above Ground, so it's easy to go to both. Out our way, so we're in Brampton and in Oakville, so a little southwest of us, is a dessert that we go to, and I actually quite like it. I feel like
It's on Dundas, right near the 427.
Yeah, right.
Or
right,
no, not that.
No, right near the 403.
Yeah, sorry.
403 in Dundas. And really good service. Like when we've needed to order things and, COVID, of course, has thrown everybody into a tizzy. But I'm speaking in pre-COVID days. Well, yeah, they've just been really good and worked out. Sometimes I buy a lot of materials because of a course I'm teaching, and I'm buying on behalf of students for their materials kit, and they've worked out nice prices with us. So yeah, and I like their selection. It's pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's, you need different stores. Japanese paper place I love. I have to be very careful there because my budget is small, but everything I buy there is absolutely worth every penny. And there's no place like it. Very personal, extremely knowledgeable people there, which is fantastic because I'm a generalist, so I need the benefit of specialists. And I'm trying to think. Oh, yes, a supplier I use a lot is Toos Art Supplies, which is opposite the U of T land, or used to be opposite the U of T Architecture School. That's now moved to the Central Island, I think. But anyway, it's on College Street, east of Spadina. They had to close down for COVID, and then they got broken into. What a terrible break they've had. So, I don't know. I haven't heard whether they're open again. So those are the ones in Toronto. Now, when I was younger and lived downtown, and when I'm talking a lot younger, I used to go to Gwartzman's a lot. I was fortunate in being one of the people that the late Paul Gwartzman didn't throw out of his shop or treat like something that smelled bad. But it was a long time ago, so I was a pretty young thing at the time, so my odds were better.
A few comments.
Yeah.
Timley has just ordered some spray paint to experiment with, which
Ooh,
I love
cool.
that idea. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Kay says if anyone's in the Guelph area, Wyndham Art is amazing.
Oh, they are great.
I love Wyndham. It's so beautiful.
When we're in Guelph, we try to pay it a visit. What is going on with this pen?
And Mira says she's working the pages with the dots. Dots are changed, or with the dots. Dots are changing into a surprising joy to work with. She's having fun.
Dots are fabulous. Yeah.
And Mia says she used to love dessert when she lived in Mississauga.
Yep.
What is out her way now. And Mira says that's her neighborhood dessert. It's like a little boutique.
Yeah. Yeah. When you have a moment, Elaine, you're probably in the middle of something right now, but is there a place you like to go? Because you're downtown. I started going to above ground, the one that's right near OCAD, basically on the OCAD campus. And that's a fun place. It's not accessible, though, if you can't do stairs. They have a ramp to the main floor, but that you'd only be able to visit the main floor. But it is a treasure trove. So if you ever go to the Art Gallery of Ontario and you can manage the stairs or limit yourself to the one floor, I think I would highly recommend that place because it's full of surprises. It has all the things you need and things you didn't know you need, but then you discover you need them. And then just things that are delightful. I used to love Wolfitz, right? That's what Curry's bought Wolfitz when Ben decided to retire. And it's still the best Curry's location probably, but they have the same problem having anything in stock, even though they're the big kind of flagship store.
Mia says in London, they have a Curry's and Bijan's or Bayon's art studio.
Oh.
Which she hopes will survive.
Yeah.
Survive the current situation. Tinley loves Above Ground.
Yeah.
And she says, I place bets with my colleagues as to how much I will go over my budget.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's not a question of whether or not you will. It's just
It's
by
just
how
how
much.
much,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And Kay says she gets into a lot of trouble at above ground, and Tinley says I always go over.
Yeah. I also like going to, I don't get to do it very much when I live downtown. I used to more, but I like going to Chinatown and going into the bookstores and things, because they will have paper and brushes and ink and things like that in the Chinese tradition, and sometimes other interesting items. But something, one of my favorite things is a Chinese mulberry paper roll that's 38 inches wide. And when I desperately needed a whole, multiple rolls, and that was exactly when Curry's informed me they were discontinuing it. And I researched everywhere I could think of, online, on foot, and could not find the 38-inch wide roll anywhere. I could find 24-inch wide. I could find some, I couldn't find it anywhere. And so I wrote a blistering email to Curry's, because I'd gone to the, among other, in an effort to hunt them down, I went to the Curry's location in Markham, which is in the heart of probably the biggest Chinese community in the Greater Toronto area. And, that's where the Pacific Mall is, and all of that. And I have family who lives in Markham from the Chinese side. And they didn't have it. And so I wrote a blistering email to Curry's about, this very tiny amount of supplies that they had representing East Asian culture, not just European traditions. You'd think they could at least stock it at the Markham store in the heart of where so many Chinese people live. And anyway, I never heard back from them. But then I discovered months later, they were restocking the papers. It was available. So I thought, I think, I have a feeling my email had an impact. The thing is, by the time I'm compelled to expend that kind of energy to write an impassioned email, I'm really upset. And I just don't, it would be better if they didn't get people to that point, I think.
Val says Markham Curry's is the worst for carrying anything.
Yeah, well, of all the things they should carry, you'd think they'd have Chinese paper. But
yeah,
I feel badly for you if that's the case about them not carrying stuff, because
since Curry's, like, there used to be a Brampton Curry's.
Yeah, when we moved to Brampton,
there was a Brampton Curry's.
There was a Brampton Curry's, which they closed like a year after we moved here.
There was one in Oakville.
There was one in Oakville, which was always our second place to go to after Brampton closed. And Mississauga became our primary one. Oakville was our fallback if Mississauga didn't have something. Very often Oakville would have it. Yeah. going on and on about art supplies, but it's one of those topics, right? You know, you need things when you need things, and you need particular things, and it's so frustrating when you can't get them. Anyway, I'll give you a little update on my, I might retrace my circles now that they've had a chance to dry, just to get them to assert more. So there's my kind of lopsided floret. That reminds me of spirograph. But what's harder to see, apparently, is I've done, oh, there, you can see I've done some dots. Now they go there. Now you can see them. So I'm playing, so you know this spread here has a lot of dots in it. And if I go really close, you can see there are dots within dots. So it's very layered up. So this is not going to be so layered up. It's going to be cleaner, but I definitely want some dot action. Make sure this is, oh, this is the wrong pen. Help if I had the right pen, wouldn't it? Oh no, it isn't. Which one is the right
Yes,
pen?
it looks interesting and intriguing.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring some color into it once I have the structure set up. Thank you. I'm glad you think it's interesting. All right. You know, I'm dreaming it up as I go along, so it's and yet it's something that looks very deliberate and pre-planned. So it's kind of a weird, a weird thing. It is creatively, that's a place I often find myself. Like, oh, I'm going to do this crazy thing that I should have planned out. Yeah, so I'm going to make like a star shape, 4-pointed star shape dots based on that cross that you saw. And then I'm going to start coloring some of the shapes in the floret. How's your head chopping off going, Tinley? The things you're allowed to do as an artist that the law wouldn't let you do normally, right?
Stella says, hello, it's Stella from LA.
Oh, hi,
I'm late
Stella.
to the party, but wanted to say hi.
That's so nice that you joined us. How are things with you? I know things in the US are pretty rough right now, but you personally, so that we don't we make this a safe space and away from the news. I hope you personally are doing okay. And
she says, I cut out a few heads and a few hands. Oh, it must have been some thieves in the...
yeah. There we go. Yeah, you know I'm getting precise when I've got the ruler out. Takes you back to the old days, eh, Cal?
Absolutely.
Graphic design days. Maybe illustration days. Oh, it's so nice and therapeutic just working away with no deadline, no specific objective. What's up?
I'm just loving.
You're laughing.
I'm
missing out.
Tinley, like I'm just imagining her posts out of context because she says,
Yep.
now I'm working on cutting out an aorta made out of flowers.
I love it. Oh, Tinley, I thought I've made a new image and heart-based image, and I thought of you because it definitely channels some of your spirit.
And some of her viscera too.
Yeah. So I'll be posting that on social media probably later today.
She says, yay.
Yeah. So you can watch for that. And you can know that it made me think of you. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while, the particular combination of things, of elements. And so it's nice to have finally done something. I'm not saying it's not the definitive whatever, but it's a first go.
Give me a good long look at the camera.
Because?
She's sketching you. Her glasses are challenging me right now. I need her to look up. There you go.
How's that? Is that helping?
Thank you, she says.
They are pretty distinctive. And just because I'm taking this moment like this, my eyebrows over top of it are very pronounced, aren't they? I have quite a distance between my eyes and my eyebrows.
She says, thank you. Perfect.
Good. I was told once, actually, that was good if I wanted to do drag makeup, which I totally do, although I would never do it myself because I'm incompetent at beyond a certain much simpler level of makeup. But yeah, the gallery Kal and I were showing at before it closed in the Junction was called Auto Art. And she had someone assisting her in the gallery who was great at drag makeup, and he was going to do an event at the gallery. And I had said I'd signed up to have it done because I thought that would be a riot. And I think I've got a nice big head, so there's a good canvas. As long as I put plenty of primer on my face first.
Stella says, I'm hanging in there, but these are difficult days here in the U.S. Thank you for making this a safe place. I am painting with paper today.
Oh, good. Good. Yeah. We need safe places. There's plenty of other places for other things. But this is meant to be restorative and friendly and safe. So I'm glad you're able to take this time for yourself. Really, I'm glad everybody who's here was able to, because we all need it in our various situations. It's taken me a long time to do this star because I'm talking, losing my thread, and then trying to refine what I was doing and where I was doing it. Yeah, just a couple more.
Mia says, drag makeup, amazing. How they do it, so transforming.
It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, it's utterly transforming, and that's what I love about it. Just that, that is, it's like Chinese opera, Peking opera, Cantonese opera. The makeup they do is so elaborate for that, and I've always loved it. I have a mask in our house that's a Beijing opera mask. I have one or two miniature mask. One I made into a pendant. And a little, yeah, I just love that kind of thing. And so it's that, but it's as dramatic as that, but with this sculpted look and of course riffing off conventional feminine uses of makeup. So culturally just fascinating and visually stunning. All right, I'm on my final dot line. Finally. Yeah. Except there are no double
Dashes,
beeps
yeah,
or
yeah.
dashes or
Yeah.
whatever.
It's
It's all just single beeps. Yeah. Well, I
like
guess they get closer and closer together as I taper towards the tip.
right, so that the tip stands out a little more.
Well, just because I'm forming a
Right,
tip, right?
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two converging lines.
So I don't know. I might just do intersecting dot lines here. They're actually more frequent. Oops. My ruler slid, so they're out of alignment. Rats. It's the problem when you're trying to do something precise and then you get sloppy. It would never happen to Cal.
Nonsense.
But then he'd be freehanding it and it wouldn't happen. I can make it happen with a ruler. There we go. Okay.
Mia says, remind me please, what is the name of the white pen?
Oh, yes. Happy to. This is a Sharpie poster paint pen. So they also have oil-based paint pens, but this is the water-based paint pen. At this time, they called this poster paint. So you can get these at a number of different shops. You can even get them at Walmart in the craft section, craft or art supply section. Curry's used to carry them, but discontinued them. And that's fine, actually, because they're not the most opaque. I actually like the Posca, P-O-S-C-A brand better. And, you know, I'm not going to find one probably to show you. No. I don't know where my Posca pen, I think I have one Posca pen. I don't know where it is, but that's the problem. I mentioned earlier how I bought 3 times as many acrylic basics paints because I couldn't find the bin that had them. And I didn't remember even what the bin looked like. Here's a classic.
It had been so long.
And I had a course or something, so I had to have them. So I went out and bought a whole bunch. And then I topped them up. And then somehow I mislaid some of them. And so I went out and bought some more. So now I've got like a cabinet. It's a, plastic rolling drawers, but it's got different colored drawers. And so I've actually sorted my paints by color into these drawers, which is outrageous in terms of how much space they're taking up. But it is deeply satisfying, I have to admit. So I'll just share with you where this is at. Oh, it looks like I got a stray white line on there, which I can cover up with the silver pen. But there, you see that? So that's where that is at right now. And I'm going to take a look at some of my I'm just going to really get very metallic. I have some Sakura jelly roll pens that are metallics. I'm going to pull them all out of I have a pen box. It's just got a whole bunch of different pens. And anyway, so all of my metallic jelly roll pens are in here. And Sakura invented gel ink, and Jelly Roll is their product. And so it's a top-notch brand of gel ink pens because they, literally invented the material.
Mia says, Sharpie poster paint pen. I've heard. Thank you. Heard good things of Posca pens. And
Yeah.
She says she loves your paint box. Your pen box, Kimberly.
Thank you. I am very fond of this box. I like that it's tin. I have countless plastic bins and boxes. And the fact that it's opaque can be an issue for me, but I know that both of my stripy boxes contain pens and things related to pens. So that helps me. I also have a lime green box. I don't remember what I keep in that one. That's the problem. So most of my boxes and bins are transparent because I'm such a visual person. If I can't see it, I'm kind of lost. All right. I have a feeling I am missing some colors. For example, my silver is definitely missing. Now, I don't need silver for this, but I've got orange blue. I've got magenta and green. I've got yellow and violet. There are 2 yellows. I'm going to have to do swatches, and I have a blue-green, but I feel like there are not a lot more, but a few more.
I asked Stella what she was collaging, and she says, I'm working with repeating patterns like leaves. A wonderful person once told me, if you don't know what to do with your feelings, talk to a tree. They are really good listeners.
Words of wisdom right there. That is so good. And what a great way to talk to a tree without being next to a tree. Yeah, good for you. Yeah, so I'm just going to test these out. Ooh, so this, so you look at this cap, and it is a violet of a sort. It's metallic, so it's got sparkles. But when I drew with it on this paper, look how dark it is. It's actually like a full-on proper violet, although metallic. So, but you'd never know from this cap, right?
Yeah,
That's why I would recommend. Yeah, so if I don't test it and I just think, oh, it's going to look like this, I'm going to be really disappointed. So I'm going to see what the sort of, I'm calling it magenta, but let's see how it actually turns out. That's close. That is like a metallic magenta. Right. So, yeah, so I'm going to do some on my stencil here, of course, because I'll just do it on whatever's close to hand. I'll just do some swatches so I know. Oh, I love this green. That's a beautiful green.
Mia says the silver/white piece has a feeling of starry night, deep and spacious feeling.
That's lovely. So there's the green, and it's kind of like electric Granny Smith apple green, which I quite like.
Mia asks, was there a plan what it might be?
No, so it's such a good question, honestly. It's like I tell my students, what you need is a starting point. And so I had the germ of an idea. And the germ of the idea was, I want to start with silver grounds. And I had a feeling I wanted some kind of geometric motif over on this side that might be layered up shapes like I've done here. I didn't know about the dots, so once I started doing the dots, I was in the land of improvisation. So even though it looks, notwithstanding irregularities, it looks very precision, and therefore looks very pre-planned, not so much. And probably because I am, probably how experienced I am allows me to improvise with a certain degree of confidence at a certain level. But if I didn't have that experience, it would all be learning, even if it didn't turn out, so it wouldn't, there'd be nothing wasted about it. I'd be figuring things out, and I'd figure them out differently. Probably I might have to paint things over or retry or whatever, but it would all be very interesting. And if you look at, I'm doing an altered book, you can treat an altered book like a sketchbook. You don't have to look at it as a finished work of art by any means. You certainly can. It can be exquisite, and it can be a laboratory to just try things and be brave, because, the book existed anyway and was going to waste. And trying things in art is absolutely essential to making discoveries.
We replied earlier.
Yeah.
Now adding galaxies. The good news is my imagination works. Note to body, get with the program.
Well, I'm delighted to hear that some of your functions are with you today. So, that'll help lift you out of your physical challenges right now, I'm sure. Okay. Just thinking about, I think I want cool colors there. So I'm gonna put the magenta in between some cool colors. That's interesting. So I'm using gel pen, which you normally use on paper, just regular paper, drawing paper, whatever kind of paper. But right now I'm using it, of course, on top of a painted surface. So I just have to treat it, be sensitive to ink load, making sure there's enough ink flowing that it gets applied to the surface decently.
Mia says, I'm sure that if I try to replicate it, it will end up looking like a nebula, a cloud of gas and dust. Well, and nebulas are pretty darn
Nebulas
gorgeous.
are awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So
a little while ago, just I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, I posted
that's right. Yeah,
an image of it's a portrait of Strindberg, August Strindberg, a Swedish author from the 19th century. But I've also it's a photo digital portrait, sort of digital collage and transformation, and there's a nebula inside his head, because that was sort of the concept of it. And the nebula comes from the Hubble telescope. It's curious. It's great that Elaine's here and Tinley, but because science keeps popping up in my work, even when I'm not thinking of it that way. It's not funny. I wonder if I even put the hashtag SciArt on my post. Anyway, that post went crazy. I have like nothing way beyond any normal post of mine, and so it got 575 likes. But because we love looking at nebulas, it's like the ultimate glory shot of the night sky. So go to town.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is interesting. So normally on paper, gel pen is very full. It's very wet. It's very, really fills in places and draws a beautiful line. And on the painted surface, it's drier. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. But that lends a whole other surface quality to the area. Ugh, get closer. See if I can. There, you can see it now, I think.
Yeah, sounds great.
So I like the way it's actually activating the surface, not just politely filling it in. Although, of course, in my imagination, that's what was going to happen. But it's so cool. Never let what you can imagine limit you. It's so easy to get limited by that. Just going to make sure that there isn't an oranger one stuck in here. I know there's a color missing that's a red orange. I'm remembering using it now. Oh, goodness knows where I put it though.
Elaine asks, does it appear more painterly?
Yeah, like you can see the mark making. So, what it makes me think of is ballpoint pen art. And the...
Right, it's got a real grain to it.
Yeah. Now, parts of it are wetter. And so I think that variety, there we go.
Triumph.
Yeah. How many pencil and pen boxes does Kim have? We have no idea. And forget just those, I've got boxes of things for stamping and texturizing and stenciling, and it just goes on, doesn't it, dear?
Gloriously.
Yeah. It's very, very kind of him to say it that way.
Yeah. Elaine says the pen on the painted surface, she means. And that's what you were.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. It reminds me of point pen art in the sense of the kind of marks that happen when they fill in. There's an incredible Korean artist, you may know of him, Elaine, called Lee. And he does gobsmackingly sublime non-objective works just using ballpoint pen. And his worked surfaces remind me of this gel pen on this. I say remind me, in some tiny, just in that surface quality, the marks and surface.
What's the name again?
Lee. I-L, second name Lee. L-E-E. Yeah, just astounding. I'd love to see his work in person sometime. He shows internationally, but I have not yet seen his work in person.
Oh yes, I think I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, you loved that work too.
It's jaw dropping.
Yeah, it really is jaw dropping. Now this pen is very wet. This redder pen. So we'll see how it fills in. Outlining, it's much It's very wet.
And Mia, I'm going to post a link in a second.
Yeah, Cal's going to get a link up.
So we'll have the name, and it will also, you'll be able to look at it.
Yeah, you want to see this work because you just would never think of ballpoint pen and the work he does. At least I wouldn't until I saw it. I'd certainly seen people do rich and detailed drawings with ballpoint, but yeah, so this pen is wetter, I would say. You know, and it may in part depend on the pigment, how it disperses in the ink binder. We'll see.
See your screen when you get a minute. Just see
There's
make
my
sure
screen.
my link posted. I put dots in parentheses, but I just can't see what it is.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Did you miss any?
No, I took the dots out, but I mean, it has other slashes and hyphens, so maybe I was looking for those kinds of things too.
Did you took the HTTP off, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
All right. Bear with me, Mia. I'm going to see what
Yeah.
I can do. Well, I'll just put the
Type
name.
in his name
I'll just put in
first
the
of
name,
all,
yeah.
because she can Google for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And Google for his name and also add the word artist or art. And that will tend to get you more pertinent results because there may, you know, I don't know how many people in Korea may be named Il Lee, so you don't want to get a lot of, you know, organic chemistry papers by Dr. Il Lee or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to make sure you get the artist, because there's some scientist, I think in Korea, whose initials are KL, and then Ko is his last name, and or is he Vietnamese? I think it's Korean. Anyway, so searches for my name can sometimes yield up a whole lot of scientific papers. Yeah, so this still shows some marks, but it's wetter, and so it's less dry looking. Wow, there's a revelation. That's a pretty good view. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Is it beading a little bit in the red violet one?
It's just there are blobs that
Right.
are drying.
Right.
So
Nice. Yeah.
you know, the art of normally of working with the gel pens in areas is working back and forth closely together and overlapping enough that you maintain a wet edge as you go along, and on paper that leads to a very continuous effect.
Right.
On this, little gaps open up because of course this is a non-absorbent surface now with the paint on it. Metallic paint, not just normal paint even.
Mia says, amazing, found him.
Oh, good.
Il Lee, American, born 1952, sold to Korea, lives and works in New York.
Yeah, he's really something. Yeah, the question is, do I want the blue? Oh, that blue is gorgeous. Blue green.
Are you doing sort of color wheel kind of thing?
I don't know. Just
That's Max of a System.
I mean, there is my friend Brian, this old schoolmate of mine, is one of the most brilliant people I know. He was at school, and I went to a school for gifted students. So that was saying something that I thought in that context he was remarkable. He became an artist after years of working in computers. He actually, before the 2008 crash, he managed, it was Lehman Brothers that was the company that went down, right? Well, he was managing their worldwide computer network. And the problem was he was the only guy at the top. The buck stopped with him. So he never got more than an hour and a half of sleep at a time for 4 years, which caused long-term problems for him neurologically, and under very high stress and all of that. And anyway, when Lehman Brothers went down, he went back to school and got an MFA, and he codes, how do I put this? A typical project for him would be to video record a dancer doing a performance of some kind. And then he codes around that to create these extraordinary visual transformations. And anyway, I wandered off. He's an amazing guy. Brian McMillan is his name. And he teaches at, I think it's at NYU in Manhattan. And anyway, he said to me once that what we think of as logic, what we normally think of as logic, the left brain logic, the analytical logic, the breaking things down into minutiae kind of logic, is not the only kind of logic. There's other kinds of logic, including, I guess, this logic I have in my head around this the color scheme here. There is a system, but I'd have to translate what's in my head into
language.
This
other system that doesn't necessarily work with it. Right?
Well, it would work. It just would require
a good translator.
Yeah.
More bandwidth.
Yeah. Whereas I'd rather just make it, and then you'll see the logic of it.
Of course.
Assuming I work it out reasonably well.
So on a much more prosaic level, Mia asks, will the gel paint dry and stay firmly on the non-porous silver paint?
I believe so. I'm going to operate on that basis.
Well, they're both, actually, are the gel pens acrylic?
No, it's gel ink.
Right.
But it is something used a lot in mixed media. And if it shows any signs of flaking, Mia, what I will do, and because it's in a book and I'll be turning pages a lot, it'll get plenty of opportunity to show me if there's any weakness. Then what I'll just do is touch up whatever I need to or can touch up, and then I'll varnish the page, and then it will be sealed in, and the skin of the varnish will be attached to other parts of the page that will bond firmly with the acrylic, and then it'll be fine.
Just going to give you a heads up that we're at 3:35.
Are we really already? I can't believe it. I was hoping to have more of this done for you today, but of course, part of the magic of these, for me anyway, of these parties is that it's not a high performance situation.
Yeah.
I've certainly done many high performance situations
this is meant to be chill, right? So,
as Elaine knows.
Yeah. Drawing on walls while people watch and wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. In situ and stuff
Live
like that.
drawing is something I love to do. And I've done it at a smaller scale too, at that event Nielsen Park had. It was at was a fundraising event. And so I was set up with an easel and some paper, and I just drew some things. I had Cal holding a human-sized heart that was a medical model of a heart, and he has such lovely hands. So it was great drawing that. Anyway, I also ended up drawing at incredibly high speed after not drawing portraits for ages. This woman came up to me and said, "Will you draw my portrait?" And I think she thought that that's what I was doing there. I realized later, but I thought, yeah, okay, why not? And I realized 5 minutes in that I was working at 10 times my normal speed and intensity in an effort to get this done. Because, she's just sitting there posing, and she's not a professional model. And I don't know, the performance.
Well, you were already also elevated.
Yeah, because of the public drawing. Right? So I ramped it up even higher. It's like, oh my God, take a breath. You're allowed to take more than 10 minutes to do the whole portrait, right? Oh.
Mia asks, would you just wants to make sure that you don't forget to do a little flip through before we end?
Thank you for the reminder, Mia. I certainly will do that.
And she says, wonderful virtual studio party again today. Thank you both.
So I'll just get this blue section filled in. And even though I won't be very far along, we'll have, this is interesting. This one's creating more gaps. Won't be very far along in the colors. It'll be a start. And I'll probably squeeze in some more work on it this week or weekend. I have a busy week. This week is a particularly busy week. But this will be a good way to unwind after some of the days that are ahead. I mean, it's the profusion and popularity of adult coloring books. I noticed that some artists, in response to the COVID situation, were producing free coloring pages for people.
That's a great
to
idea.
download from their websites. Yeah. And I thought that was a great idea. I even thought I might do one, but I guess I ended up with enough on my plate.
Well, we each contribute in the ways that we can, and this.
Yeah, not everybody's doing this.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah,
it's a good choice for someone who's less, who's more introverted.
More introverted or less techie or both.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Need a little touching up, but that will do. I have part of my eyesight is that I'm nearsighted, so when I'm working like that, it's actually helpful for me to take my glasses off, even though I have bifocals. So you can see how the blue went. Yeah, so
you're coloring around the dots, eh? Wow.
Yes, I am. Makes it more star-like. Let's do a flip through.
Kinley says, that looks fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
Mira says, thank you, Kim. It was good to work alongside with you.
Likewise, Mira. See you next week. So there's the first spread. All the way back. Boy, that feels like ages ago now that I did that.
Doesn't it?
I started off this book with such different intentions than how I've moved along. And there's the next one. And you'll notice I gessoed this page, but not this page. So the text is clearer.
Feels like a different artist.
Yeah. Oh, I still haven't done this side. But that's the resist technique I use with the graphite water soluble. This is a personal fave. Although I kind of wish I'd done a bolder red X than that.
I think it's actually better if it's not too overpowering.
A little more subtle.
Yeah, it's still, no one's going to miss it, right? It's the one red shot. So
One of the things I like about this spread is this page, which has a lot more richness or activity
then
than appears from a
Yeah.
distance.
Yeah.
This one I haven't done the right-hand page to it, but this has a nice sort of low-level texture. Lots of layering. This I showed you at the beginning. I didn't show this one though, which is the one that follows it.
Yeah.
And that has a lot of layers on this side. And that's just the build up to this, which has so many things going on in it. And then that's what we did today. And there is one more spread I'm going to flip to. It's further along, and I hope it hasn't stuck together. Well, slightly. Which is this spread. So,
Yeah.
To be continued.
Yep.
Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us today. And I wish you the best week you can have under the circumstances at large and your individual circumstances. So take good care. And thanks so much for coming. And if you know anyone else who would like to virtual studio parties, please send them my way. My website has a whole page devoted to the virtual studio parties that includes, what it's about and a link to this channel. And yeah, I'd like to welcome anyone who's interested in some creative community. So really, and special shout out to some. Well, Mia, thanks for coming despite being sick. Val, thanks for coming. Tinley, so glad you were here. And Kay, glad you had fun and got inspired. That's really nice. And Annie, go toss some petals. Yes, we'll have to do that. And Stella, thanks so much for coming. And my dear friend Elaine, thank you for coming. Thank you for the hearts. It was so nice having you here. And Stella, take good care of yourself. Give yourself the breaks you need to recover, because I know you're going to need extra recovery from all the things, right? So I hope you can make it again next week and come whenever you can. And there are always the replays if you have need for that sensation of the community, but the schedule just doesn't work. So, okay.
And
and Philippa, look at that. So you were there stealthily playing along, weren't you, Philippa? Thank you so much. Of course, I have not. There we are. I can use that.